Good evening and welcome to Wednesday night Satsang. I know that we are all feeling heavy-hearted this evening from the news that we've received in the last 24 hours from Uvalde, Texas. And I think it's useful for us to know that as we enter into our time of prayer, we can do so as witnesses from a distance of our hearts, in the sense that while those who are most affected by that horrific shooting and loss of life, that we as witnesses have the perfect position to enter into a time of compassion and open-heartedness to bear some of the sadness along the way, and at times even some of the pain that broken hearts cannot contain. And so as we consider the gift that we can be in helping to hold some of this up and lift it into the light, to transmute it into the love that we all need for healing, I invite you to take a deep breath in now and just notice your heart opening and allowing the love to flow. Allow it to move into the pain that we may be feeling, or the sadness that is heavy within us. And allow the love with each breath to move in and out and carry away the pain, transmuting it into love, into life, into light. As we also imagine embracing the entire city of Uvalde, all the families, all of those who have lost, all of those who are in shock, and know that we are lifting them in compassion, care, and love. And so we breathe. And so it is. Amen.
And as we shift into our chants for this evening, we shift our awareness from that of form, from that of experiences and the outer, into a remembrance and awareness of the truth of who we are, the true essence of our being. I am a light in the world. Let's sing together. I am a light in the world. I am a light in the world. I am a light in the world. I together we'll chant this ancient Buddhist mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, mantra of transformation. Know it for yourself and know it for the world.
Close our outer eyes, finding a comfortable seated posture for your practice this evening. Relaxing the muscles around the eyes and the face, letting the jaw drop. Opening up some space in the chest by gently rolling the shoulders backward, opening up the heart. And breathing. The intelligence in the body naturally breathes, so observe the process. Notice the inhalation and the pause, and the exhalation and the pause. The beginning, the middle, and the end of the breath. Sensations of breath on your nose. The air moves in, cool air in, warm air out. The rise and fall of the belly. Movement in the chest and the ribs. Being with the natural process of breath. As you've been noticing your breathing, notice if you're experiencing more spaciousness in the body, having brought your attention to the breath. That there is not only breath happening, there is the experience of life energy in the body. Notice your heart beating within your chest, if you can. Your heart also moving in its own natural, divinely led rhythm. Noticing life energy in the upper chest, shoulders, experiencing this area from the inside. Noticing life energy in your arms. Perhaps you feel a tingling sensation, vibrational energy. Notice the life energy in your hands. Shifting your attention to your torso, your belly, feeling the energy there. Noticing that when you bring your attention there, you feel the life there that perhaps you don't always bring your attention to, that there's that movement of life energy. Noticing the life energy in your hips, your buttocks. Feeling where you make contact with the seat that you're on. Noticing the life in your thighs, upper leg, quads. Your knees. Your lower leg, your calves. Feeling life energy there. And your feet, the tops of your feet, toes, the soles of your feet. Shift up to your neck. See if you can feel your whole neck, front, the back, present there, supporting your head, moving your consciousness to your face. Feeling the presence of your nose, your cheeks, your eyes, your chin, your forehead, ears, your scalp, and now that we've explored your entire body temple, feel the spaciousness, the no-thingness within yourself. Notice if you feel that your energy, your inner energy, has expanded even beyond the space of your body. And your consciousness is broadened. That there is more ease and peace. And having brought your conscious presence to the now experience, restored and revitalized by your very beingness. Gratitude for sense of ease, well-being, and harmony. when you're ready, begin to take in some light slowly into your eyes, just gently allowing light in with a soft gaze, taking in the space around you as if seeing it for the first time. And so it is. Namaste.
Now, as we gently return into your seat again, into your body, we just know that this is our opportunity now, having been filled with light and love and a gentle peace pervading our physical self, that these are just some of the many gifts we have been blessed with in our lives. And this is an opportunity now to share from the abundance of the gifts that we have received in a form that will serve the ministry to move ideas and teachings, love and prayers beyond these doors, beyond this campus, and out into the world. And so wherever you are participating in this service this evening, whether you're physically present or watching it live or watching it later from us now, know that your spirit is already here, where it is outside of time. And so we open ourselves to know that we are a vast community and that we together can feel the love among us and through us. And it is with that love that we bless our gift, shared electronically or in person. And however we do it with love. And so we use a blessing that calls love into being. Together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive, and so it is. Amen.
Whatever's going on in your life tonight, it's time to lean into it. Let it go. All of my life I've been fighting to push away the pain and the fear. Gotta say the cure was enlightening when it all came clear. Lean into it, then let it go. Lean into it, now I know. Lean into it, let it go. Just relax and let it go. And lean into it. Used to be afraid to be tender. I hardened my heart to the grief. I never understood that surrender meant sweet release. Breathe into it, lean into it, and let it go. Lean into it, whoa, whoa. Lean into it, now I know I can relax and let it go when I lean into it. It's the opposite of what the world's been insisting. Gotta fight or fall apart. When I melt into whatever I'm resisting, I can feel it open up my heart, and I lean into it. Let it go. Lean into it. Lean into it. Now I know I can relax just a little bit when I lean into it. Lean into it. Let it go. Lean into it. Lean into it. Whoa, whoa. Lean into it. Lean into it. Now I know I can relax just a little bit. Oh, I can relax just a little bit. I can relax just a little bit. And I lean into it. Lean into it. Lean into it. Lean into it. That's what you got to do. Just lean into it.
So is life making you a little crazy lately? I don't know. Gosh, sometimes I look out at the world and I go, what is going on, people? So, you feel like you've been pushed and pulled by all of the people and the things that have been demanding your attention. You're in the right place for the right message tonight, I believe, as we go into chapter 8 and Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth, the discovery of inner space. Inner space. We have a tendency in this human experience to resist life, don't we? Just resist. Complain, judge, to just look for something different. Something different. This just isn't it. Looking for something different. It's just a standard human condition to do this. I want to share with you a story that Eckhart shares in the chapter. It's an ancient Sufi story about a king who was having a life like this. He was having ups and downs like a roller coaster, and he was done. He was done with living like that. He was done with being pushed and pulled by the people in his kingdom, asking for things, having problems, and he just recognized he would quickly shift from happiness to despair, and he got worn out. And so he sent for a wise man in the community. This man was known to be enlightened, and he thought, okay, this is a guy who's going to help me. So he called him to his castle, and when the wise man arrived, he made a request. He said, I want to be like you. Can you give me something that will bring balance, serenity, and wisdom into my life, and I will pay any price you ask. So the wise man said, well, I may be able to help you, but you can't pay this price. This price is far beyond the worth of this whole entire kingdom. So therefore, I'll give it to you as a gift, if you will honor it. And the king agreed, and the wise man left. After a few weeks, he returned, and he went to the king and handed him this beautiful carved jade box. And the king received it, and he opened it, and inside was just one gold ring, and it had an inscription. And inscribed in the ring, it said, this too will pass. This too will pass. And the king asked, what is the meaning of this? This too will pass. The wise man said, wear the ring always. Whatever happens, before you call it good or bad, touch this ring and read the inscription. That way, you will always be at peace. This too will pass. How can that help us with the ups and downs of life? Well, Eckhart asks us to consider that there's a deeper meaning to these words. That they're not saying that you shouldn't enjoy the happy moments of life because they'll pass. No, enjoy them. Enjoy them. It's also not just meant to be a comfort in hard times either. That the purpose of this saying is to notice the fleetingness of every situation, the impermanence of any situation, happy, sad, tragic, joyful. And as you become aware of this transience of life, that all the forms that you experience are transient, are changing, and you lessen your attachment to them, you are disidentifying from them to some degree, and in return, you actually enjoy the experience a lot more because you're not living in the fear that it's going to leave you, that it's going to change, that it'll ever be different, because you know it will be different. Maybe it'll last a while. It may last a good long while. But eventually, it will change and shift in some way, shape, or form. And it's that awareness that shifts your orientation with your experience of life. When you're detached, you enjoy the pleasures of life without that anxiety that we can feel about the future or fear of loss. On July 20th, 1969, anybody know what happened that day? Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. They were the first astronauts to land on and walk on the moon. We have a slide, not of them, but of the view of the Earth from space. And these men got to see our planet from a distance with all that space around it that we don't normally get to experience being on the planet. It was a whole new perspective. Take that in, just the vastness of space around the planet. And it revealed a paradoxical truth from what Eckhart says, that the earth is precious, so precious and so unique in its form, and also so insignificant in the vastness of the multiverse that exists. Wow. So knowing this too will pass allows you to detach, to experience some space around it, some of that vastness around it. So you shift into another dimension and allow some of that inner space to be revealed. I think Star Trek had it right way back then when they said space, the final frontier. For us, it's the discovery that our inner space is a microcosm of the macrocosm of the universe, that within us is the entire universe, that spaciousness, that broader dimension of life. And we have access to that when we begin to have a different relationship with our reality. We practice detachment and non-judgment and inner non-resistance. And this is what Eckhart calls space consciousness. This is the consciousness that he says will transform our planet, and is already, because there are those of us who are experiencing space consciousness. We all do at different points. We can for brief moments. When we work on it consciously, we expand that and have more and more space. And so I'll tell you more about what this is, space consciousness. So in the practice, you're conscious of things, your sense perceptions, your thoughts and emotions. And in being conscious of that, you recognize that there's an undercurrent that is beyond those forms. And it's an undercurrent of awareness, of beingness. In unity, we call it spirit. Eckhart says, ask yourself, can I feel my own presence? If you can feel your own presence, that's it. That's space consciousness, your presence. It's that alert inner stillness that we have that is beyond images and words. It is. It is your being or beingness. That's it. It doesn't mean, to be clear, that you are to be spaced out or spacing. Okay, which could be fun. Sometimes just zone out and, let it go. He says even when we watch TV, that we one reason why we really like watching TV is because our thoughts quiet down. But what he says is then we tap into the thoughts that are coming through the television and what they're sharing with us and taking those on as our thoughts. And so this is why advertisers pay millions of dollars to put commercials on television, because you're in this receptive state where you're just taking in that influence. And so he said when you watch television, to be mindful of choosing shows that you want to watch. I think DVR is a beautiful thing, recording shows that you like to watch, and fast forwarding or muting through commercials, he suggests, is a good way to remain conscious and also not to stay fixated on the screen, to periodically look away, to notice your body, to notice your breathing, to not get so absorbed into that where you're spacing out. You want to stay in space consciousness and awareness, to stay aware. So those are and the reason for choosing your own programs is that we tend to want to binge on mindless things that they're fluff. I can think of a million shows that I won't pick on anybody, but I'm sure you can think of those that you just turn on and your mind goes off and you just don't even recognize the time going by and you're just watching. So that's what we want to be conscious of, because we want to stay present. And there's lots of television that's educational and supportive and awakening that is out there too. And he reminds us of that. There's good programming as well. I mean, that's not all good, but that's beneficial to raising consciousness. When your mind is less burdened, like when you're sleepy at night, when you get tired, but you're not asleep yet, he says that you can catch a glimpse of the joy of your being, and you might even find yourself singing and dancing around the house because you actually got yourself so tired of thinking of your life all day and your problems and your fears or whatever it is that occupies your mind. Your mind got quiet, and you can feel kind of your natural aliveness. That there is another experience we want to capture that is spacious. It's a carefree state, this space consciousness. And he says that spaciness is a regression, space consciousness is evolution, the next step in our evolution. And about inner space, Jesus said this. He said, "The kingdom of God is not coming with signs to be observed, nor will they say, 'Lo, here it is,' or 'there.' For behold, the kingdom of God is within you, in the midst of you." In the midst of you, that spaciousness that can't be identified as a thing. It is no thingness, space. So how do you know if a space has opened up for you within? How do you know? Well, you aren't spending all your time in depression, anxiety, despair, worry, fear, consumed by negative states. You're able to enjoy simple things like looking at a flower and recognizing its fragile beauty and color right in the moment, and taking in its essence. To notice a beautiful blue sky just for what it is, the glory of it, listening to the sound of rain or the sound of wind. To be alone at times and not feel like you need entertainment or feel lonely, that you could just be by yourself. That you could meet a complete stranger and treat them with complete kindness, heartfelt kindness, without any desire to get something from them, like good service or whatever, but just to be kind because it's who you are. That this is that state. So that's how you'll notice when you're in that state that a space is opened up and you're moving in that energy of space consciousness. So there's a common background in these experiences that we're all applying to space consciousness. And it can range from a sense of contentment to what the ancient sages of India called Ananda, which is the bliss of being. the bliss of being. Another way of finding this inner space is a unity practice of meditating on I am, without anything after it. Just simply I am, I am, I am. Because I am is the you that is beyond form. It is what the poet Robert Browning called your imprisoned splendor. We want to have it imprisoned no more and let it be free, right? It's always there in essence, and so we're bringing that consciousness forward in an effort to transform the world so we can cease witnessing unconscious acts of violence and pain that we've been witnessing in the last couple of weeks, to name two of many that we've witnessed in our lifetime. Be conscious, because in this space consciousness, there's only love and peace and harmony and understanding and unity. So there are some more practices that he gives us, and I brought you through a couple of them in our meditation practice tonight, watching the breathing. I had a teacher who said, you can do the 1 second meditation. Breathe in, breathe out, notice it. That's a meditation. She'd like to have more practice than that, but if you do that many times throughout the day, you've created those little pockets of space. Because the mind is just going to keep going in those patterns, the same repetitive patterns of the things you worry about and concern about. You should be doing this, you should have done that, all that, whatever. And that break gives a gap so that something different can be experienced. We want to create those gaps. Watching your breath creates that gap in your thinking, it creates space. Eckhart shared this great story that I wanted to bring to you because he talks about this student who came to him, who brought him this catalog from a large spiritual organization. And it was a catalog filled with all these great spiritual classes and workshops and seminars. And it was a smorgasbord of everything that you could think of for spiritual practices, and just very enticing. And the student asked if he could recommend a class or two, and he looked at it. He said, I don't know, they all sound so interesting, but I do know this. Be aware of your breathing as often as you're able, whenever you remember. Do that for 1 year, and it will be more powerfully transformative than attending all of the courses, and it's free. Can't beat that, right? Just bringing attention to the breath as often as you can, whenever you remember, for a year, and it will transform you more than any classes you could take. One conscious breath, taken many times throughout the day, is going to bring a spaciousness into your life and a perspective where you've got some space around the earth of life and all the things that are happening. There's space around it, and that's the natural space of your being. So in addition to the breath practice, he also encourages inner body awareness, which was the next step that we experienced in the meditation. It's closely linked to the breath. So as you experience the breath and you notice the parts of your body that are breathing, the air flowing in and out, the rise and fall, the chest, the abdomen, paying attention to those shifts in the sensations in the body, the movement of the life energy that animates you, that's always present. And when we get so in the mind, we can disconnect from the body. So it's getting back grounded into the body once again. Eckhart says the greatest deprivation of your life is not being able to feel the life energy in your body. That's the greatest deprivation you can have. So he encourages us to remember to do that, to feel the body from the inside, and to see if you can feel each part and go through it like we did in the meditation. Just check in with different parts of your body, and then become aware of the inner body as a whole, and you'll experience more spaciousness. Physicists have discovered that, Eckhart says, that the actual solidity of matter that we experience is an illusion that's created by our senses, that matter is not solid at all. In fact, the body is 99.99% empty space. No thing. No thing. It feels pretty solid to me, but 99.99% no thing. If you hone in on molecule and atom, and you see the nothingness that is most of it. Your body is just as spacious as the universe, and that spaciousness is another word for what we in Unity call God. I want to close with this poem that is about bringing consciousness to life. That's my interpretation of it. It's by Mary Oliver, and it's called, Where Does the Dance Begin? Where does it end? Don't call this world adorable or useful. That's not it. It's frisky and a theater for more than fair winds. The eyelash of lightning is neither good nor evil. The struck tree burns like a pillar of gold, but the blue rain sinks straight to the white feet of the trees whose mouths open. Doesn't the wind, turning in circles, invent the dance? Haven't the flowers moved slowly across Asia, then Europe, until at last now they shine in your own yard? Don't call this world an explanation or even an education. When the Sufi poet whirled, was he looking outward to the mountains so solidly there in a white-capped ring, or was he looking to the center of everything, the seed, the egg, the idea that was also there, beautiful as a thumb, curved and touching the finger tenderly? Little love ring. I love that line. Little love ring. As he whirled, oh, jug of breath in the garden of dust. Of dust. And that's consciousness of what is, of life happening, and not what our minds interpret it to be. Just being with what is. So as you learn to let go, to lean into it, let it go, open to that space, you will shine, you will expand, and you will discover that the universe lies within you. Namaste.
Oh, thank you, Jeanmarie. This was really practical and mystical at the same time. It was really a lovely message. And I love the Mary Oliver poem, too. It seems to me that, you know what I was really captivated by? Did you bring the slide of the earth with the, you know, I don't know if it's just an optical illusion. Well, it is an optical illusion, but I was sitting there looking up at it, and if I just kind of gave a soft focus, the stars kind of moved. You know, they were just, you know, like I would look, and then those were. It was like they were kind of just like a pattern of them, just kind of moving around and flexing and all of that. No, I've never put myself in that position to have a flashback. But but there's still life ahead. You know, there's still a chance for that. But I think really the thing about it is that I also use that image, very similar in myself, to do kind of what you're talking about recognizing the spaciousness inside of us. And, you know, what I like to do is move down into my heart center and consider, and I know I've said it here many times, sort of like a back door opens to the entire universe. And I imagine that deep, dark, black velvet darkness and pinpricks of different colored lights and all of that. They say in space they're different colors. And I just think, you know, and it's really the infinity that just brings such a sense of peace. You know, if you saw a boundary, you would get a little uptight. You know, I think it's the spaciousness of things, the boundarylessness of it, the infinity of it, that brings peace. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, we talk about space, and it seems about our physicalness. You know, I have always been bewildered as to how we can mostly be space and still feel so very solid. It seems like our hand should just fall right through I don't get how that works. I would love for that to be explained to me scientifically one day. But then also we talk about space in terms of time. I was really struck by the various references to impermanence. I don't think you actually used that word, but that's what I was hearing, especially early in your talk. And I think that so often we don't realize how we operate on top of a premise of permanence. That's what has the current event so upsetting. I mean, that's among the reasons. I mean, there are bona fide, heartfelt, heart-wrenching reasons. But I was made especially acutely aware of this when my partner died, that my life was built on assumptions of permanence that were as real to me as you are right here, right now. And I didn't know it until it was removed. And then it's sort of like an awareness that I was blind to. And I think that's the reason I was kind of quickened around that as you were speaking is that as a practical matter, just focusing consciously on breath a few times of the day is a way of creating space, creating an experience of impermanence without even labeling it as such. So it stays a bit more practical, because we won't know. We won't know when we're operating on top of a premise of permanence. And so, I mean, if we knew, then maybe we would be a little bit more motivated to be liberated of it, you know, to go find that spaciousness. But how do you know? Anyway, I have a little bit more to say about that. But I want to wait. I want to hear what others of you have to say about that.
Yeah, having some not similar, but my own experiences of just being with impermanence and my aging parents. Just how they are today is not how they were when I was growing up and early adult years, and that I hope they're around a long time, but you just don't know. And it's like, I want to be fully loving and present with them right where they are now. And it's just really that acceptance. I feel like it's like accepting that this is how they are now. This is, our relationship has changed. They've changed. I've changed. I've definitely changed, because my role has changed, has shifted. The roles have reversed, and I've become more of a caregiver and not the baby child. So it's like accepting that, like, okay, yeah, I'm not that anymore, and that still lives in me as an experience I had that I learned from. So yeah, there's a lot of that in life.
Lean into it and let it go.
Yeah, let it go. I don't really know where I was going with that, but that's my experience.
Yeah. Well, it's a practice of non-attachment too. It's sort of in the shadows of what you've been sharing.
Yeah.
So another thought is we can't not think thoughts. You know, you were talking about I guess you did talk a little bit about mindlessness, but spaciness, as opposed to creating space. You know, and that sometimes when we watch TV, we're kind of taking on thoughts and we're occupying our minds with more stuff as opposed to creating spaciousness. But on the other hand, we can't not think thoughts. I mean, it's, you know, sometimes it's a pedagogical tool, even, you know, for teaching. It's like, okay, if I say, don't think about your feet, stop it. You don't need to be thinking about your feet anymore. Don't think about your feet. It's like, it's sort of, and I think sometimes we even do that with prayer. You know, it's like we kind of focus on this thing over and over and over again, when in fact we need to give it space, true blue space. And so what do we think about? You know, what do we put our attention on? That's perhaps a bit more helpful. I mean, I have a few techniques, some thoughts about that, but I'd like to just create that space and listen to what others of you have to say about what do we focus on when we're trying to create space.
That's interesting. You know, I really like your, you know, linking it up with impermanence and the sense of how everything is changing and that everything outside of us and, you know, our physicality, everything connected here is always changing. But the spaciousness isn't. It's of us, right? So it is both timeless and eternal. It is infinite and present and only now and only now and only now and only now. You know, it's like, and it's always available. You know, it's not like something we have to work ourselves up to necessarily. We may have to do a lot of breathing and moving and try to move ourselves into it. But, you know, if we think about it, if we remember it, that the breath, just like you're saying, Jeanmarie, the breath just it's your magic carpet. It just will take you there. It will take you there, and you'll suddenly become aware, and peace will happen. Peace is already there as well. So we don't have to, give me some peace, give me some peace, give me some peace. It's like, just stop saying that. You know, just stop worrying about it. Just be here now, because this is where peace is. You know, and I think, you know, that self-talk or that reminder or mantra or whatever we can use to move us there, whatever works for us, you know, does a lot of good in our physical being, as well as, you know, our planning, our letting go. And I love it, Jeanmarie, that you said within the scope of, you know, one breath is a meditation, a complete meditation. And so every moment that we remember to drop in, we're in nirvana, you know, we're there. We're enlightened and aware and in receiving a download. And the longer we can be there, I guess there's benefit. The more often we can be there, we will be introducing it into different parts of our lives. But that we are ever there, you know, ever go there, ever remember. You know, bing, 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 it's a winning, you know, it's a winner. So this is one of my favorite subjects, and it's so, you know, nothingness, no thing, right? But you did a beautiful job of really just giving us the depth of it and at the same time practical little tools to try. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, those of us who have Apple Watches, your watch can remind you to be mindful, which is a great thing about technology. And I was trained as a spiritual director. We're trained to be present to the breath and the body when in spiritual direction with another person, and there's something paradoxical about that. Well, if I'm paying attention to my body and my breath, how am I fully present to that person? And I realized I'm so much more present to the other person when I'm in my body and I'm present to my breath in my body. And it's just amazing how that works. It's not like I have to focus that hard to notice my breath and where my hands are and where my feet are in the moment. There's just gives a groundedness to it, and I'm with you, and I'm not in my head. So that's what I know you'd asked what kind of things do you use. I try to use that as much as I can remember to use it.
Yeah, it's beautiful and really useful, and it's a practice. It's spiritual practice, and I know that you've dedicated your life to that, and so you get there fast. All you have to do is increase your awareness of the need for it, and then because it's practiced, it's immediately available to you. My son's learning to drive. Okay, this is pertinent, believe it or not. My son is learning to drive, and he's doing fine. He's 16. And it's an opportunity to look with fresh eyes at the things that we take for granted when we drive all the time, barely even conscious of the countless number of variables that we're managing. So that if I just say, watch that car up there, for him, it's not watch that car up there, and I've got mirrors, and I've got, I've got the speed, I've got which foot goes where. I mean, there are all these things that we now have habituated. And so I was kind of riffing on that a little bit in my thinking as you were talking about creating space, sort of a new experience. I don't think it's unrelated to what you were saying about when you are in your own breath and in your own body, then you're more available to be a spiritual guide to those who seek out your counsel. And I think that's true when you're learning to drive. It's a metaphor, of course. We're not talking about driving. We're talking about life pursuit, and as you have a certain amount of momentum and then inertia behind the things that we do on a regular basis, I think our task and our spiritual practice is to stay curious and creative in the things that we take for granted. Even our language, as we're speaking, the words come at the rate they come and we speak them out. But just a little reflection, a little space around that allows a new thought to enter occasionally, just once in a while, kind of lodges in there. And I think that's the paradox you were referencing too, is having the building that muscle, building that practice, and staying open and curious about what's new.
There's muscle memory to meditation, for sure. I think about your son getting his muscle memory of driving, and that when my body is in a certain position, my regular meditation position, it's like the dropping in just becomes so much easier. So there's a purpose to that, why we're encouraged to sit a certain way. As we build that, it allows us to drop in faster. So definitely, I like the way that you said that it's so much a part of who we all are and how we live, that even if you haven't done it for a while, it's like the muscle memory is always there. Karen, I remember you talked about making a groove. I'll never forget that. That was so neat.
Well,
illustration.
it's like Pavlov's dog, whatever, it's built into us. Sorry, and so that works to our benefit, doesn't it? And there's so many things that really in the universe that are really, if we take advantage of them and use them properly, like like karma, or like what goes up comes down, what goes out comes back, and so if we recognize that there's an automatic replay, then we should be learning that I should be putting good stuff out because I want good stuff to come back, right? Instead of always being upset, that all this stuff keeps coming back at us and sticking to our face and, getting our clothes dirty and everything, trying to get it off of us, and only makes us more upset. But it's so funny because it really is set up that if we got wise enough, we would play with it better. And the same thing with this, with these habits, these good habits. Starting a good habit is its own reward, it's its own groove that you'll just keep sliding back into, and the energy will come. It's just the blessings will come. And actually, always the blessings are there. It's just if we had awareness, right? Yeah. So this is a good time for us to consider sharing those blessings with those in our lives and those that we're holding in our hearts. And so this is our time to pray together and know that we are in a community. We're in a community in this room. We are in community beyond this room, and all of those who are witnessing and with us now in this prayer time at a distance, those who are at another time already here, and we just envelop our experience in this among us and beyond us and between us, knowing that there is the vast space, the no thing that is actually everything. And so in the space between us, there is every gift waiting to be given and to be received. And into this holy space now, we speak the name or the condition that we would like to see lifted to a higher vibration, to a higher expression, a better, more beautiful way of being. And so whatever the name, whatever the relationship, whatever the condition that you would like to encourage to be in a higher state of vibration, just know now that as you gently speak it with your breath, quietly into that space, it is already adrift and receiving every blessing, every gift, and being lifted beyond its state. And we do that now. And so breathing now, we have released the current state and are welcoming back a higher state in the life of the loved one, in the condition, in this experience or situation, whatever it is that we want to be different, it's already shifting and changing in this state, in this moment, and into the future. We are blessed. We are loved. We are peace. We are joy. We are wise. We are whole. We are one. And so it is. Amen.
As we shift into our metta practice, we send particular metta, loving kindness, to the people of Uvalde, to the people of Buffalo, and to all who on this planet who are suffering from mental illness. You know, it is rampant, and so we send our love and light to them with this prayer. By the power of this practice, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they know the sacred joy that arises in the space beyond suffering. May they rest in equanimity that knows no grasping or hatred. May they experience the equality of all beings. May my practice be of benefit to all.
Namaste, namaste, I bow to you. Namaste, 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 go shine your light into the world. Namaste, namaste, the light in me sees the light in you. Namaste, namaste, go shine your light into the world. Namaste, namaste, namaste.